morning, sir.
Yeah, please come.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Suryabhan. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, have I pronounced your name correctly, Suryabhan?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
yes.
Okay, so Suryabhan, please introduce yourself to the panel.
So, my name is Suryabhan Yadav. I originally come from Jaunpur, Uttar Pradesh, though I have been born up and brought up in the state of Maharashtra in the Palghar district. And I did my graduation and post-graduation in mechanical engineering from IIT BHU Varanasi and graduated in 2018. Thereafter, I joined civil services, Indian Revenue Services, Customs and Indirect Taxes. As of now, I am a probationer at Nasi in Faridabad, pursuing my training period. And I love to explore a lot of sports such as chess, badminton, table tennis, cricket. And,
So, you are still in training?
yes, sir.
All right.
I joined in the month of December.
Oh, just this 4 months before, 3
Yes.
months before. All right. Okay, so Suryabhan, you're from Maharashtra. We are hearing a lot about this onion crisis. What is this problem and how do we resolve it?
Sir, exactly, I have not gone through the news. However, what I understand is most of the time the farmers who have to trade the onion have to sell the onion at a very less prices.
That is the problem.
Yes,
So,
sir.
let us come to the solution.
Sir, on the solution part, sir, my view is that we should have a diversification of cold storage. By that, I mean that almost a 65 to 75% of the cold storage are specifically meant for the storage of potatoes. Secondly, sir, diversification also in terms of region. As of now, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal harbors around 42% of the cold storages in the country. Thirdly, sir, the price stabilization fund can be utilized in a more effective manner so that the farmers are being insured for these losses.
What about purchasing these products by the government, just like we do public procurement?
Sir, my view is that public procurement for onion will lead to more demands and will lead to a domino effect for procurement of other crops in the country. For this could not be a solution, long-term solution for any such price stabilization issue for any crop in the country. In that essence, one thing we can do is mentioned about the storages of these crops. Second, coming again to the point that
Maharashtra government has given subsidy, 300 rupees per quintal. So, is that a permanent solution?
as of now, so that is not a permanent
That is
solution.
also
Giving subsidies in any form is not always the permanent solution. The more effective way could be the better transportation, better logistics, better harvest.
Suryabhan, coming to the budget, union budget, can you recall some of the tax benefits which government has announced in the budget for industry?
Sir, sorry,
For,
sir.
if I may be more specific, to the MSMEs, to the cooperatives, to the startups.
So I was thinking on the same lines of different industries.
Okay,
I
but
could
you
not
haven't
remember.
read it, all right. Now, after the Silicon Valley and signature and all this debacle, what do you think is how resilient Indian banking system is? Or are we fragile?
So the very fact that this crisis, the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, has not affected much in Indian banks reflects the resilience of the banking system. Secondly, sir, most of the parameters that RBI enforces in terms of provisioning, in terms of debt management, is being more robust as compared to Silicon Valley Bank. The main issue in Silicon Valley Bank was that 93% of the deposits were uninsured, and the federal bank did not even enforce the norm that it should have enforced. Thirdly, sir, my view is, so can I take some seconds to think and frame
please,
out?
please. Yeah.
Thank you. So thirdly, sir, that particular industry such as startups over here, investing all their funds and deposits into one particular bank is in itself equivalent to putting all the eggs in one basket.
Let me just, on the point that you mentioned, Some experts have said that and it is partly true, that it's because the US Federal Bank increased the rate, repo rate, their own rate, that this SBB happened. Now, India is also on the spree of increasing the repo rate. And again, the Monetary Policy Committee is probably sitting to next month. Now, do you think that with this kind of increase in the in the rates, Indian banks also may suffer a similar problem?
Yes, sir. But provided that the problem in US was that in SVB precisely, that all the deposits, most of the deposits that were collected during the post-COVID period were been deposited in US Treasury bills, and therefore the
Okay, I am not concerned with the US. I am concerned with the Indian bank. Let's not go back to US again and again. Okay, tell me, Governor RBI has mentioned that you should have a proper risk, bank should have proper risk management. What is this risk management? Okay, my last question. You have mentioned that you were member of parliament, student parliament at IIT Varanasi. Now, you are in the parliament, the real parliament, right? And you have to speak on same-sex marriage and against the motion. And the motion is that you have to oppose the same-sex marriage.
So, honorable delegates and the members of the parliament, the fact that the same-sex marriage has arrived, the issue has arrived, my view is that since marriage is a very sacrosanct institution, and in our country like India, wherein not many laws regarding the marriage are being enforced as of now, therefore proceeding with same-sex marriage would be not a very right way at this moment. We can do the same issue, we can proceed for the same-sex marriage, however gradually, through social reforms at the very ground level, and then legalizing the same in the institution of the marriage.
Thank you, Suryabhan.
Thank you, sir. Well, Suryabhan, in Maharashtra, one agitation is, of course, by farmers on this onion price, which we have already discussed. Another agitation which is currently going on is by state government employees for restoration of OPS, old pension scheme. So, what is your view on this? Now, you are a beneficiary under NPS. So, how do you see NPS versus OPS, and can you tell me one or two points in favor and one or two points?
So, the benefit of NPS is that it leads to a fiscal prudency in a long term. The interest payment to revenue receipts of the government, interest payments has been very high. And secondly, sir, more precisely, the pension funds that, for instance, in Rajasthan is very, the funds that are being sent into the pension deposits is very high. That reflects that in long term, the fiscal situation of the state may not be very suitable for the state to lead on in terms of expending on it on capital expenditure. This is my view, sir, that we should not go back to OPS again.
Good. Now, Maharashtra had this budget, state budget, about 2 weeks back. So they talked of Panchamrit budget. Are you aware what is this Panchamrit?
No, sir, I am not aware.
Okay, no problem. Now, tell me, Suryabhan, why Afghanistan is so important for India, strategically or diplomatically, that we have kept 200 crore rupees in our budget as an aid for Afghanistan. Then we are now training Taliban. We may call it Taliban, or they are diplomats, of course. So that also, that online training is going on. So why should we be involved with a country which has, where we have a regime which is not, recognized by government of India?
So one thing is clear, that Taliban is going to stay, and therefore we cannot afford to disturb our relation with that regime. So therefore, sir, our ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, human-centric foreign policies, all that compels us to support the Afghanistan people and not the regime. We are supporting the people in a way that the people progress in their own lives, people appreciate our own efforts, and they have a better living standards that we have been carrying on since 2003. Therefore, sir, this is in regard to our foreign policy. In terms of politically, sir, We do not want Afghanistan to go towards the same 1996 to 2000 regime wherein terrorism was dominating. By diplomatic training, we may infuse the values of humanism, the compassion among the Talibanis as well.
Okay, good. Suryabhan, now we are seeing that China has become diplomatically very active these days.
Sir.
It has brokered peace between two adversaries, Iran and Saudi Arabia. Even there was a news yesterday and today also that it has approached Putin as well as Ukrainian government, foreign minister of Ukraine, to come to talks. So what is the lesson? I mean, how government of India should react to this?
So, government of India should welcome any peace resolutions and any peace deal that is being occurring in any part of the world. However, at the same time, we need to be cautious that we do not get eliminated from the equations of these countries where these peace deals are being brokered. Thirdly, we should also have an eye over what kind of deal is being occurring with the China behind the doors. By that, I mean what kind of economic deals and what kind of strategic deals are being occurring. For instance, if a deal with Iran means that Iran is backing some terrorist activities in Afghanistan through which the militarism could be activated, we should be protective of those deals and we should be very cautious of that. So,
okay, yeah. Now, Suryabhan, off and on we get demands from certain quarters that agriculture should be brought under the ambit of income tax. What is your view on this?
So, my view is large agricultural income holders should be brought into who are earning a very lot of money and who have a lot of lands as of now. This will bring equality and also bring the justify the subsidies that are being given to these large farmers. So that has to be done. However, sir, at the same time, we need to provide a lot of protection to medium farmers and small farmers as well, sir.
You mean to say that large farmers should be brought under the ambit of income tax?
Yes, sir. Only large farmers with a hefty income.
Okay, right. Thank you, Suryabhan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you.
So, Suryabhan, you were member of student parliament.
Yes, sir.
That means you may be aware of parliamentary protocols and so tell me what is your reaction to what is going on in Indian parliament and how you think a solution can emerge?
Sir, may I request you in terms of the motions that is being clarified regarding the motions that are being going as of now?
Yes, absolutely. Parliament is not sitting at all.
So, firstly, regarding the issue that has been brought up in Parliament against Shri Prime Minister Modi ji, that is the privilege motion.
Has privilege motion been brought out against PM?
So, I have read in the newspaper that it has been brought up
Okay.
in the newspaper. Regarding that, sir, debate should take over the motions. Motion should not be directly put to the vote, and therefore, sir, any debates, discussions with within the members will lead to a more dilution of prejudices and dilution of stereotypes that the one party has against the other. Secondly, sir, regarding the motion that has been brought up to remove the Shri Rahul Gandhi from the Parliament, from the Lok Sabha as of now, could also be deliberated on the same lines. Thirdly, sir, the larger issue that the Parliament is being suffering from cutting of times in regarding the sitting within the Parliament. One thing we can do is passing of a bill that was being brought in 2017 regarding fixing the number of hours to sit in the Parliament and so forth, sir.
So you talked of privilege motion. Can you explain what is a privilege motion and when it can be brought?
So, privilege motion is being brought when a member of a parliament breaches a privileges that is being given by the constitution as well as the rules of procedures of the houses.
Suryabhan, you are also a classical chess player. So what is ELO rating and when do we apply ELO rating?
So before I proceed to answer, can I have a water?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You are comfortable? Then we'll go ahead. Are you feeling fine?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
It is just that I was feeling thirsty a little bit.
No
Thank you.
problem. So tell me about ELO rating.
So ELO rating is a differential zero-sum game rating wherein we identify the levels of players so that we can compare them in real-time game. This is being developed by a Hungarian professor, Arpad Elo, and thereafter the Elo rating was being named.
Suryabhan, you are working in revenue service, right? So tell me constitutional provisions related to state taxes. All articles that you can connect with state taxes.
So one is Article 246A, which empowers both union government and state government to legislate on GST matters. Second is Article 269A, which mentions about the IGST. So as this IGST money is also being debited to the state, so it is a part of the state matters as well. Thirdly, Article 275, which mentions about the grants to the states, and Article 282 as well, which mentions about the discretionary grants from the center to the states.
What about Article 265? What is Article 265?
Sorry, sir.
Okay. So you are also a maths student. How will you make maths more interesting for children, both in rural India as well as urban India?
So for rural area, I believe teaching maths in a very vernacular language, in their own tone and language, is very important. For instance, in villages in eastern Uttar Pradesh, teaching in Bhojpuri would be better than teaching in Hindi. One thing. Second, business-led activity, activity-led games, puzzles, Vedic maths, and abacus are some of the techniques to make it more interesting. In urban areas such as in Bangalore, already the NGOs and many of the institutions such as math labs are coming up to make math more interesting for the children. Fourthly, I believe not pressurizing children to learn maths in a very retrograde manner of revising the tables or just mugging up things is not the right way ahead for us. And therefore, in a daily lives, we can go through for an article based. For instance, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 1 apple. We can go in that way.
Suryabhan, why don't we have a maths museum to make it more interesting?
So indeed, it is a very nice idea that I have come to know now. It would be very interesting as children would be sent, the very young age children.
Yes, I have seen maths museums abroad which clearly show what maths is.
Yes.
The last question I want to ask you is on your mechanical engineering. How will you use mechanical engineering to solve environmental problems?
So one way is, as I have done my masters in thermal and fluids engineering, I can totally understand the importance of mechanical engineering in reducing the pollutions in thermal power plant. I will mention some of the technologies such as the upcoming of ultra thermal mega power plants, the fluid bed test technology, the scrubbers, the wet scrubbers, the selective catalytic reduction for the reduction techniques for the reduction of nitrogen emissions are some of the techniques that are being employed as of now in thermal power plants as well. Secondly, the use of fuel energizers, the use of magnetic energizers, the use of nanoparticles are being used to reduce the pollution from the exhaust of the vehicles such as two-wheelers and four-wheelers. Thirdly, the making of new fuels such as the methane fuels from the carbon dioxide emissions, the making of biodiesel, biofuels, second generation fuels are also a part of mechanical engineering which can be employed to reduce the pollution. So these are some of the technologies.
Good, thank you.
Suryabhan, the role of RBI
is some kind of self-contradictory, for it has to control the inflation, tame the inflation. At the same time, one of the primary role of RBI is to promote economic growth. So if it tries to contain or control the inflation, economic growth becomes a victim. How do you reconcile this position?
So it's a classic, it seems to be a classic catch-22 situation. My view is, sir, the times when Japan and South Korea in 1980s and 1990s had progressed a lot, there the inflation was around 20-22%. The average inflation per year was 20-22%. Even in the Eastern Asia, wherein they progressed a lot, the inflation rate was very high. So it prima facie, it seems that the high inflation is better for higher growth rate. However, sir, in India, when
But then RBI seems to be completely misfocused.
however, sir, I also want to mention the point that many Indians are not on the side that South Koreans were and the Japanese were. The purchasing power, the purchasing power in the rural areas is very less.
What are the armory and the tools of RBI to control the inflation?
So the policy rates, the repo rates and the reverse repo rates are the tools in hands of RBI.
These are only one or two. There are many other tools. What are those tools?
So others are the bank rate.
How do you rate the performance of RBI insofar as this indica is concerned, controlling the inflation? Has it been successful?
So largely, I would say it has been successful. Though in the last 10 months out of the 12 months, the inflation rate has been more than 6 percentage points. The reason I say it is largely been successful, that there has been a lot of global headwinds. The unexpected Russia-Ukraine conflict has arrived, when the geopolitical tensions with regard to China and the US. And
Let's talk about the fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is also an important tool to accelerate economic growth. What are the fiscal stimulus or package given by the government in order to take the growth to double digit?
So one is, in this budget, government has announced 35.4% more capital expenditure than the last year.
But government expenditure is only one measure. Unless the private investment happens, foreign investment comes, the economic growth cannot go to double digit.
So,
the government seems to be the only wheel which is running.
Yes. In that regard, sir, the tax incentives are also one of the tools. Thirdly, government has come up with FDI policies, and it has liberalized almost all the sectors in the country as of now. That in itself has invited $85 billion despite a COVID pandemic year in the last year, FDI.
The government introduced a series of labor reform for helping or ease of doing business. What are those reforms?
So the
major changes in the labor laws.
The 4 labor codes has.
What are those 4 codes?
Labor codes on wages, labor codes on occupational health and safety standards.
But what is the implementation status?
Sir, as of now, since labor is a state subject, so the states have to come up with the rules and regulations.
But what are the concerns? Why it is not being implemented? It was passed 2-3 years back, but still it's a long way to go to implement those codes.
So can I take 30 seconds to think on it? So one thing is that the laborers are also very active tools in the hands of the.
What are the major concerns? Point number 1, 2, 3.
One is that the laborers are the voters for the state governments, and any reforms.
Whether their concerns are legitimate, what are their concerns? There must be some genuine concerns, or it is a misplaced concern.
So I will have to.
Let's move to some other subject. Uniform Civil Code is one of the goals which our framers of our constitution wanted to implement, but it seems to be a distant dream. 70 years have passed since passing of the constitution, but still we are nowhere near Uniform Civil Code. It's an article 44 of the constitution, which speaks about state shall endeavor to implement UCC.
So at this point, Uniform Civil Code, instead of bringing...
What do you mean by UCC?
So UCC means having uniformity in terms of within the personal laws regarding the inheritance, the inheritance,
But there is already an Indian Succession Act.
but so that is only for Hinduism, as far as I remember. So.
Hindu Succession Act is also there. What is the problem then? Only succession is the issue, or there are other
Multiple
issues
issues
also?
in terms of adoption, in terms of marriage processions, rituals. And there are some other issues.
You are from Varanasi. This Kashi Vishwanath Jyotirling, is it a Jyotirling or a?
It's a Jyotirling. Sir.
And in Maharashtra, how many Jyotirlings are there?
Sir, I think there are 3 Jyotirlings.
3. Can you name them?
So one is in on the banks of Trimbakeshwar, on the banks of river Godavari.
The other 2?
The other one is in no sir. Then there is only one. Thank you.
Okay, so Suryabhan, can you compare Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra on socio-economic parameters?
So the state of Maharashtra is being more progressive in terms of the caste discrimination, in terms of the gender equality and the progress of the women that has been realized as compared to Uttar Pradesh. Secondly, sir, I also see that the regional equality on both the states in terms of income, the Uttar Pradesh lags a little behind as compared to Maharashtra. However, both the states face a similar regional imbalances when compared. Thirdly, sir, the state of Maharashtra is being more open to transgenders, the vulnerable and the marginalized sections of the society as compared to Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, both Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra aims to achieve the target of $1 trillion economy. But Uttar Pradesh is way behind as of present status. Don't you think it's an over-ambitious target?
So it is over-ambitious target. However, as India progresses towards $5 and $10 trillion economy target, we should also have an ambitious target to achieve them. With ambitious target, it comes responsibility to deliver, and we will be at least on a right path and with the right reforms to achieve those targets. What my understanding is, the conditions for the Uttar Pradesh to reach $1 trillion is very right at this moment, as the first condition, that law and order condition, has been rightly in place. Secondly, a lot of economic reforms have come up in Uttar Pradesh. By that I mean infrastructural development has been on headwinds. The 4 expressways, Bundelkhand, Purvanchal.
Okay, Suryabhan, I would like you to comment on the issues surrounding ChatGPT.
One issue is so that it is not foolproof method of obtaining any answers. Secondly, it can give wrong answers which can have an error, and which the errors can be magnified onto the peoples as well. So this is what I can collect.
You are already into civil services. So what extra you are looking forward to?
So with reappearing of this examination, I had the tendency in mind that I need to be a person who can work at a policy level, and secondly with the grassroots connect at the same time. With opting for Indian administrative services, I believe that the career progression and the opportunity to work is much more than as of now.
Okay, thank you, Suryabhan. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
Thank you.
So, Suryabhan, we have covered a lot of area from your DAF, but in case anything has been left out by us, you could indicate so that I can ask the last question.
Thank you, sir. I believe the same, that most of the areas has been covered, sir.
So, thank you, Suryabhan. We close our interview. You may proceed to the waiting room. We'll call you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Suryabhan, please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, Suryabhan, how do you think you have performed today in the interview?
Sir, very poorly. I think
Why do you think so?
sir, Primarily, I was aware of all the issues, but I could not organize it well. And if one cannot organize and articulate and put it in front of the board members, there is no point of preparing it well. I should have revised my notes well, and I should have been little more updated with things.
We also think the same way. You were not prepared, Suryabhan. Your capability is beyond doubt. Your capability is beyond doubt. You can grasp, provided you read. You haven't read the newspapers. You're not abreast with the current affairs. That is something which, if you read, you will know. If you don't read, I mean, it doesn't put a question mark on your intellectual capability. But then, how does one judge a personality unless somebody speaks? And when you speak something wrong, then all the more it is worse. So you have to be very careful about the interview. So most of the things you have already mentioned, Suryabhan. Your date hasn't come, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's a big relief. So knowing about your own service, since you have been there, 4 months is a long time, and initially the probationers are taught basics. Even otherwise, I think the questions which we place before you on finance and economics and whatever are something which anyone can answer, should be able to answer. And today only the RBI governor has mentioned about the asset liability management, risk management. So again comes to the same point that if you had read, you would have answered. Budget ko aap pad lena. Please do read budget, because that is the basic document. And since you are a probationer, so at probationer level, and you must have joined around the same time when the budget came. So economic finance is your mainstay. Current affairs I have already mentioned. You asked for 30 seconds time. Don't mention any time. Sir, can I have 30 seconds? 30 seconds is too huge. You never took that time. But why mention seconds? 30, 40, 1 minute. Sir, can I take some time to answer? You took just about 6-7 seconds. That's okay. And you were a bit longish in your answers. You were trying to explain things a bit too much. Probably because you were not on the dot. So when you are not on the dot, you tend to expand, because whatever you know, you want to spill out. And that is not relevant. And that makes the answer longer. Isn't it? So Maharashtra, you were supposed to know the things which are happening. And it is not that something has come today. It's a perpetual problem which you answered gradually about the infrastructure and other things. But again, you were not abreast of the latest that is happening. So you were not able to endorse your answer with other things. Budget, you were not able to. So basically, Suryabhan, you are a very competent candidate, and you have passed one level. You are already a part of the Indian government, and your capability is beyond doubt. Just read a bit.
Yes, reading
and structure. Structuring is required, especially there are people who are longish when they know a lot. So that also is a problem. I gave an example that when you do not know much, then you have become longish. But there are people who know a lot and they become longish because they want to pour out everything. So structuring your answer in the minimum possible time is the best bet in both situations. Right? It will put less strain on you also, because when you make it point wise, you just have to remember the points.
Right.
You don't have to remember the narrative, what should I speak to endorse. And points are enough, because the question has been placed by the member, because he knows what is the real answer. What does he want to hear from you? Are you getting my point? So just a few points will give him this message, send the message to him that he knows it, instead of narrating the whole thing. All right? That's all from my side. We have
Well, Suryabhan, I would suggest that you should take mock boards also very seriously, because today you are not prepared. You yourself admitted. Okay, and then you also have come without tie. So my purpose of mock board is that it should be a full dress rehearsal, so that you assess yourself and you allow yourself to be assessed by the board fully. So I think your date has not come so far. So you will be taking 1 or 2 more mocks before final board. So I would strongly recommend that you go with full dress rehearsal, full preparation, as well as your full physically. You should be fully, this thing, right? On your, I think, time. Of course, Chairman sir has already pointed out. Don't ask for the specific time. Just simply say, "Sir, can I get some time?" And you have, of course, whatever Chairman has suggested, if you work on them, you are a very bright candidate. You will do very well. All the best.
So Suryabhan, no doubt you are a bright candidate. You have proved yourself. Remember one thing, in your case, the benchmark is going to be high. All right. So no casual replies will be accepted. So you need to go a little deeper into it, practice more, take it seriously. Don't think that you have got one job, so things are very easy. All right. So you were good in most of the cases in questions that I asked, but for two. Privilege motion. What is going on in the parliament and what is your opinion? How to break the stalemate? You read more on what privilege motion. Has any privilege motion been introduced against PM? They are all talking of it. So the other party is demanding apology. So firm up your views and say that ultimately who is the loser. All right. Because these are practical questions and one would like to know if you are well conversant with the current affairs. Second was constitutional provisions related to taxes, state taxes. So all that you said was all right, but you missed out on some other provisions. So read more and update yourself on taxes. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
पॉइंटेड आंसर आपसे हमने पूछा कि भाई रिजर्व बैंक के टूल में अर्मरी में क्या, व्हाट आर द टूल्स, यू कैन गो बियॉन्ड रिपो रेट तो एक है, उसके बाद नहीं है कुछ, क्या कैश रिजर्व रेशियो नहीं है, क्या SLR नहीं है, क्या एडवाइजरी नहीं है, दे कंट्रोल मोस्ट ऑफ द बैंक्स थ्रू एडवाइजरी रेगुलेशन कि उस बैंक कितना लोन कितना देना है, कब देना है, किस सेक्टर में देना है, ये सारी चीज़ वही कंट्रोल करती है। और भी कई तरीके हैं, ट्रेजरी बिल लेके आता है, तो शक करना है उनको पैसे, तो बहुत सारे तरीके हैं मार्केट से, तो आप रिपो रेट से गए ही नहीं आगे। और महाराष्ट्र में 5 ज्योतिर्लिंग है, आपका होम स्टेट है महाराष्ट्र, आप एक के आगे बढ़ ही नहीं पाए। देख लीजिए, ज्योतिर्लिंग 12 है इंडिया में, तो आंध्र प्रदेश में मेरे हिसाब से 2 है, आपके यहाँ 4-5 हैं, तो एक से ज़्यादा जा नहीं पाए। और लेबर कोड पे पूछा आपने, कोई कंसर्न ही बता नहीं पाए, पॉइंटेड आंसर होना चाहिए। ट्रेड यूनियंस एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रही हैं क्योंकि काफ़ी सारा ड्रास्टिक चेंजेस है, तो उन चीज़ों पे बताना चाहिए था एक आध पॉइंट, है ना। यू आर केपेबल ऑफ डूइंग वेल, बट दीज आर समथिंग विच इज़ अराउंड, दीज आर न्यूज़, इसको पढ़ के थोड़ा पॉइंटेड आंसर बनाओ, तब बता पाओगे आप। All the best.
So, anything, Suryabhan, if you have any questions from us, please ask now.
So I think I need to read first.
I think you have got the. So, Suryabhan, we have given you 61% today, which amount to around
168.
168. So, how much you got when you got into the IRS?
Same score, sir. 168.
Exact the same?
Even last year when I appeared in 2021, I got the same score, 168.
168.
So, Suryabhan, you have to do something. You have to pull up. Otherwise, the only way by which you can, you would know better how you have done your mains and what pulled you down. Did the main exams pull you down?
Last time, sir, I was not in shape regarding mathematics. My maths optional, last time I scored around 241. While when I got selected in 2020, I scored 281.
Oh.
So that was the difference. Though I have managed to bridge it up this time, but I will again have to perform.
Try to take as
better.
much lead in this as possible. And
So I am working. I started little late the preparation for interview, and I feel that I can do it well. The
Very
only
good.
concern is I'm reading newspaper, but I'm not writing it out.
no, you have to write it down.
Exactly, sir.
Your non-structuring of answers will also be helped. You will get the help only by writing.
So,
You will remember only when you write.
so that I have started for this week.
And you have time.
Yes, sir.
Do it. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.